Today, we are looking at a really fascinating multimedia piece called Prayerland. It consists of an original artwork and an accompanying poem created by the artist-philosopher MacKenzie.
It's a gorgeous piece of work.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the themes here, specifically exploring this wildly universal, inquisitive human question, which is, where do our prayers actually go when we hit send into the universe?
Whether you are a person who prays in a highly traditional Orthodox sense, or you are simply someone trying to mentally prep for a high-stakes boardroom meeting, or maybe you're just navigating a particularly exhausting week and you find yourself whispering like, please just give me a break, to no one in particular. The sheer act of asking for help is a unifying behavior. It cuts entirely across diverse human experiences. It's an inquisitive, hopeful, and fundamentally intimate concept. By exploring this through Mackenzie's unique lens, we are kind of stripping away the dogma and focusing entirely on the underlying human condition.
So, to understand the mechanics of where Mackenzie thinks these pleas go, we first have to ground ourselves in the visual and emotional stage she built with the artwork itself.
Right, because Prayerland is not merely text on a page.
No, not at all. It is a really vivid visual landscape.
A landscape that demands a close read before we even touch the poem, honestly. The visual composition actively works to dismantle our preconceived notions of hierarchy.
Let's paint that picture for the listener, just so we're all on the same page. The backdrop of the piece is this ethereal, uplifting, almost translucent blue. It doesn't look like a flat wall. It feels like you are looking into a very deep, incredibly clear sky, maybe a vast ocean.
Yeah, it has this incredible depth to it.
And suspended within this expanse of blue is a multitude of diverse symbols, and they're all floating upwards. You see Christian crosses, you see stars of David, you see Dharma chakras, those intricate 8-spoked wheels from Indian religions floating right alongside various universal geometric stars and circles.
And they are all intermingling.
Yes, they're rising like bubbles in water, sharing the exact same physical space without crowding each other out, like an infinite, beautiful radio frequency map.
The buoyancy of the image is what really stands out to me. There is absolutely no territorial division in the sky.
No borders.
Exactly. You don't have the crosses relegated to one corner and the Dharma chakras in another. By having them intermingle and rise with the exact same visual weight, the artwork proposes a sort of spiritual physics.
Spiritual physics, I like that.
The specific shape of the symbol might be culturally, geographically, or religiously defined by the person who sent it. But the upward momentum, that raw human need to seek connection, operates on a shared frequency.
Well, and if all these diverse signals are sharing the exact same frequency, it begs a massive question about where they originate.
Yes, it does.
And Mackenzie addresses this immediately in the opening lines of the poem, right beside this imagery. She writes, "A holy encounter of mystic exchange, a deep human crypt of most intimate range."
Those two lines set up a brilliant structural contrast. On one hand, you have the mystic exchange. It's a phrase that invokes the airy, the divine, the boundaryless, the elevated. It's basically weightless. But she immediately anchors that weightlessness to a deep human crypt.
The word crypt carries so much architectural and emotional weight. When I hear crypt, I think buried. It's underground, heavily fortified, secretive,
and profoundly isolated. It implies a space where things are hidden away from the light of day. By placing the mystic exchange right next to the human crypt, Mackenzie is suggesting that the highest, most ethereal cosmic concepts don't originate in the clouds. They originate in the darkest, most heavily defended parts of our own psychology. The crypt is where our most private fears, our unvarnished hopes, and our deepest vulnerabilities live.
But okay, if these pleas are launching from these isolated individual crypts and entering this shared weightless sky together, this brings us to the wonderfully relatable set of logistical questions the poem asks next. Mackenzie shifts focus to what we might call the cosmic bureaucracy.
The external search. The poem grounds all that soaring imagery by pulling us right into the mundane rhythm of human struggle.
Yeah, she writes, "Where do daily prayers all go? The pleas, the passions, and the woes. Through mornings, noons, and rites of night, we seek the balm to all our plates."
The balm to all our plates.
I find that to be such a precise description of the coping mechanisms we desperately seek out day after day.
It really is.
But then she asks the hard structural questions. Do prayers amass in one great place or scatter forth through outer space? And even further, are there departments for each plea? according to religious creed? And who does the deciphering of different language utterings?
Those lines playfully expose a profound psychological truth about how the human brain functions. We are terrestrial creatures, right? We are bounded by time, by space, and by administration. When faced with the infinite, unstructured void of the universe, our natural instinct is to project our own physical and administrative limitations onto the divine. We want to quantify the unquantifiable.
We basically imagine the universe as a giant, hopelessly overwhelmed post office.
Exactly.
We picture some celestial sorting facility where an exhausted clerk is desperately trying to route the Stars of David to the 5th floor, the crosses to the 2nd floor.
Sweating over a massive filing cabinet.
Right, and calling in linguistic specialists to figure out what a frantic plea from a 14th century French farmer meant versus, an anxious teenager in modern-day Tokyo.
It highlights the absolute absurdity of projecting bureaucratic exhaustion onto the cosmos. This external search, this assumption that there is a literal physical inbox out there in outer space, is the very thing that breeds a sense of profound disconnectedness.
That makes so much sense.
Humans build bureaucracies to manage scarcity, right? A scarcity of time, a scarcity of resources, a scarcity of attention. To apply that to a supposedly infinite universe is a massive failure of imagination.
And that is exactly where the poem performs a structural pivot. By highlighting the absurdity of a cosmic post office, MacKenzie forces the narrative to look for a completely different mechanism.
Yes.
Because if the external search for a celestial filing cabinet doesn't make sense, the poem has to turn inward.
The transition from outer space to inner space in this text completely redefines the geometry of how we interact with the unknown.
Let's look at how MacKenzie introduces this shift. She writes, "Or do we host our own great spheres like individualized prayer ears?"
I love that phrase.
It's so unique. Might each of us contain within a divine means of listening, where all our unique hearts and minds are heard and responded to in kind. A solo shaft under the light, a direct line to set life right.
Individualized prayer ears. It completely dismantles the post office analogy.
How does it change the dynamic for you?
For centuries, human beings have conceptualized prayer, or even just deep intention setting, as a shout into the void. You stand on the proverbial cliff, you yell into the wind, and you just hope your specific frequency is intercepted by the right department somewhere out in the cosmos.
Hoping someone has the radio tuned to your exact station.
Exactly. MacKenzie is arguing that this model is entirely backwards. It is not an external broadcast. It is an internal, highly personalized mechanism.
So it's the difference between relying on a public broadcasting system where you throw a signal out into the static and pray someone is scanning the dial, and having a hardwired direct line intercom that was custom built into the architecture of your own house.
That's a perfect analogy, an intercom where you are the only one on the channel. You aren't competing for bandwidth with 8 billion other people. Having the receiver built into you implies that you are natively equipped on a biological or spiritual level to interface with the larger fabric of reality.
So the receiver and the broadcast aren't separated by light years of empty space. They are completely enmeshed.
The boundary between the human court and the mystic exchange is porous. You don't have to shout across the universe because the universe is actively listening from the inside out.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it completely shifts a person's locus of control. Psychologically, moving from an external bureaucracy to an internal direct line makes a person immensely more resilient.
Because you aren't waiting on hold anymore.
Right. You are no longer passively waiting for the cosmic mailman to deliver a solution. You possess the infrastructure of connection within your own mind.
Okay, if we accept that we possess this internal infrastructure, this solo shaft unto the light, it forces the ultimate question of the poem.
The grand finale.
Right. Once you know the direct line exists, you have to define what sits on the other end of it. If it isn't an overwhelmed bureaucrat in a celestial post office, what is the actual nature of the universe receiving these signals?
And this is where MacKenzie delivers a vision of reality that is both deeply expansive and remarkably intimate.
She writes about a larger field and a source of providence that yields, according to each reaching soul, like teams of helpers for our goals. But the true revelation comes in the next lines. She asks, "Might universe be really ears of fulfilling responder sphere of cosmic substance shaped to care, awaiting our call everywhere?"
The invention of the word responder sphere is the linchpin of the entire philosophy here.
It's such a cool word. It completely reframes how we talk about our environment. We know the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the hemisphere. But the responder sphere turns physical space into something deeply interactive.
Consider the contrast MacKenzie is building here against the cultural default. Earlier in the poem, she used the term outer space.
Right.
When human beings think of outer space, we think of a vacuum. We think of endless, dark, freezing emptiness that is entirely indifferent to human suffering. The universe is historically framed as a silent void.
Just cold and empty.
But by renaming it the responder sphere, she rejects the void entirely. The universe is not fundamentally empty. It is fundamentally composed of cosmic substance shaped to care.
Substance shaped to care. That is a massive paradigm shift. It means the default setting of reality isn't cold indifference. The default setting is responsiveness.
I think of it a bit like a non-Newtonian fluid.
Okay, wait, explain how that works in this context. A non-Newtonian fluid.
Yeah, so a non-Newtonian fluid, like when you mix cornstarch and water, right?
Oh, like the stuff kids play with, oobleck or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It appears completely formless and liquid when it's just sitting there, but the absolute second you apply pressure to it, it instantly solidifies to meet that pressure.
Right, if you punch it, it's hard as a rock.
Exactly. It reacts to the force you introduce. If the universe is a responder sphere, it might seem like invisible empty space when we are passively sitting in our human crypts.
Okay, I see where you're going.
But the moment we apply the pressure of a genuine plea, the cosmic substance solidifies around that request. It is a fabric of care that remains latent until it is interacted with.
That perfectly sets up the climax of the poem. If this massive caring responder sphere is just sitting there, completely latent, waiting for us to apply pressure to it, what are we supposed to do?
Well, MacKenzie concludes the poem with this directive, teaching us the grandest task that all we need to do is ask. We started in the deeply fortified, secretive human crypt.
The darkest part of ourselves.
Yes. To genuinely ask from that place, to articulate a raw vulnerability without the armor of ego, is not a passive wish. It is a profound psychological activation.
So you're saying the ask isn't about placing an order, it's about changing the state of the person doing the asking.
Exactly the opposite of a passive wish. In cognitive behavioral psychology, there is a concept regarding the reticular activating system in the brain.
Go tell me about that.
Basically, until you clearly define a problem or a goal, your brain ignores the resources around you that could solve it. The moment you articulate the need, your brain suddenly tunes in to opportunities that were physically there the whole time, but invisible to you.
Wow.
The act of asking physically shifts the brain from a state of passive suffering to active problem solving.
So, applying that back to the poem, the universe, the responder sphere, already contains the teams of helpers for our goals. It's already awaiting our call everywhere.
Yes.
The asking doesn't inform the universe of our needs. The asking activates our own individualized prayer ears so that we can actually perceive the response.
The asking is the mechanism that opens the door of the crypt. If you refuse to ask, you remain heavily fortified, but you remain entirely isolated.
You're just sitting in the dark.
Right. The grandest task isn't about the difficulty of forming the words. It's about the immense courage required to lower your defenses enough to admit you cannot do it alone.
And that is why it is the grandest task.
Exactly. It is the definitive action that bridges the human crypt with the mystic exchange.
That profoundly changes the reading of the entire piece. The artwork, with all its floating symbols, the crosses, the stars, the wheels, isn't a picture of people trying to shout the loudest to get God's attention.
No.
It is millions of people doing the hard work of opening their crypts and tuning their internal receivers to the same supportive frequency.
And that is the true shortcut to feeling well-informed about our own spiritual mechanics, I think. You don't need to climb a mountain to find a guru, you don't need to navigate a massive cosmic bureaucracy, and you don't need to worry if your specific symbol is sorted into the right bin.
Thank goodness for that.
Truly, the infrastructure of care is already woven into the fabric of your own existence.
So what does this actually mean for you, the listener, as you navigate the reality of your day-to-day life? We began this deep dive by looking at the beautiful, diverse, non-hierarchical sky of Prayerland.
We examine the very human instinct to project our own exhausting bureaucracies onto the divine, creating a false narrative of an overwhelmed cosmic post office.
We followed MacKenzie's pivot inward, discovering that we don't need to shout into the void because we possess individualized prayer ears. We have a direct hardwired intercom.
And finally, we dismantled the terrifying idea of the silent vacuum of outer space, replacing it with the responder sphere. A universe whose very substance is not indifferent, but actively shaped to care.
Operating like a fluid that solidifies to support us the moment we have the courage to truly ask. Whether you subscribe to a specific religious creed or you consider yourself an agnostic seeking a psychological framework for resilience, the human instinct to seek a balm to all our plights is a shared, deeply intimate experience. You have your own direct line, and the system is not overwhelmed. It is waiting for you.
It's always waiting.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Prayerland. Keep looking inward, keep reaching, and above all else, think very carefully about what you will choose to ask for next.